I've been in Israel for most of the last 6 months, including spending time on the ground in Gaza on several occasions, observing the actions of the IDF. And I'm here effectively as a representative of a kind of think tank called the High-Level Military Group, which is made up of former chiefs of staff and senior military commanders from around the world. And certainly my observations, my direct observations, as well as my analysis of what I've seen in the media and elsewhere, is that Israel is doing all that it possibly can to comply with international humanitarian law in Gaza. And I've witnessed firsthand exactly the way this is done. I could, but I won't spend your time enumerating all of the different measures that the IDF take to prevent the loss of innocent life on a battlefield. But they are, in my own experience, all the different military forces I've been involved with or observed, far in excess of what most other armies are able to do. And I'll give you one brief example of a case when I was inside Gaza attending a command group meeting made up of 3 generals and a number of other officers who were discussing how best to deal with an important Hamas target that was very close to a refugee center there, a school that was being used to house refugees. And these military officers spent 20 minutes out of the hour meeting trying to work out how best to deal with the target while minimizing the loss of civilian life. And I think that's a typical way that the IDF has been operating, quite contrary to what is the perceived perception. Okay. It is, as Lord Ricketts, I think, rightly said, or Lord, I forget, in some ways it is trying to find a needle in a haystack. But the IDF is extremely careful and indeed has lost many of its own soldiers' lives in trying to be very cautious about destroying the other pieces of hay in that haystack before getting to the needle. And I think Natasha's point about casualty numbers is very important. No calculation based on the most recent numbers given by Hamas, which is around about 21,000 civilian casualties, deducting then the IDF's estimate of around 12,000 terrorists killed, leaves something in the region of 9,000 civilians, maybe 10,000 civilians killed in this 6-month conflict, which when you consider the complexity of this situation with Hamas fighters fighting deliberately from within the civilian population, trying to impel the IDF to kill their own civilians, is, I think, deeply impressive. It's a terrible statistic to have to talk of, but it's deeply impressive and compares, as Natasha has said, very favourably with the casualty rates, civilian to military casualty rates of other other military forces, including the British.